Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, audience discretion is advised. Welcome back to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name's James McCarthy.
I'm Brady Davis.
I'm Jody Kite.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I was hoping you were going to jump on Jody's as well, and then I was going to jump in on yours, and it'd be like a whole jump-a-thon.
Yeah.
Everyone's just jumping on top of
Be
each
like
other.
Whoa!
Yeah, it'd be like a frog mosh pit. It'd be great. Later on,
Keep your own proclivities to yourself.
There you go. Later on in this episode, we're going to be talking about the Olympics in media. However, first, Brady Davis, what have you been up to?
To be honest, not very much. Besides some other thing that we're all going to talk about because we all have something that we want to talk about from it. This past Sunday, the season premiere of season 2 of House of the Dragon came out. It was pretty good. Didn't rewatch the previous season because I've gotten to where I don't really do that. When I was watching Game of Thrones, like I'd always like rewatch the seasons. Usually because I would pick up the seasons on Blu-ray and then rewatch them, and then probably rewatch them like right before. But I didn't this time. It's still continuing to be really good. Everybody is great in it. It's still really hard to keep up with everything exactly because. Again, fucking Targaryens have like 3 fucking names that they name everybody. So I had to like look on the Wikipedia or the Game of Thrones wiki and just kind of refresh myself of what happens and what is happening. They really a pretty in the whole idea of the whole War of the Dance of the Dragons. There's another big inciting incident that happens in this episode. That they pulled off pretty well. Everybody's really great in it. It's so far it's good, and it's I'm excited for the next episode, which is good. So far I'm really liking this show, and the newest episode of The Acolyte also came out. It's pretty good. It's weird because this one's like 10 minutes shorter than most of the other episodes. Like it was over, like the credits started rolling out. I was like, what the fuck? Like this thing just started. Like I feel like nothing happened hardly in this, but things are coming together. I still don't understand what people are constantly like finding little nitpicky things to gripe about.
Yeah, man, the internet's like, I think it's like one of the divisive shows. Like it's kind of like split because
it's love and hate.
There's a lot of
it's super divisive, but like all of their complaints are like really
stupid,
dumb.
Like they have no basis.
Or like. Okay, people.
They're stretching.
There's a part in the first episode where there is a fire in space. Fire in space is in reality can't work. But you know where fire in space is all the fucking time?
Star Wars.
It's in all. It's all over.
The fucking Death Star explodes. Guess what? Explosion has fire.
Do you think you think the Death Star exploding would explode like that in real space? No, it wouldn't. But that looks cooler.
Right.
Like,
What about the laser swords? I heard that's a part of the thing. Like,
yeah.
how does that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something. There was something very recently.
The Holdo maneuver. We actually had an argument with a dumbass about that whole thing. It's like that couldn't physically happen because it's like they have laser swords and they use magic.
Right.
That is my answer to that.
Warp drives don't exist, so shut the fuck up. But like all of their little nitpicks, are really like, and that's what it mostly is. Like the criticisms aren't like of. Mostly like how things are going with the show,
right?
But I really don't think, and even like most of those nitpicks that are actually about like the plot of the show, you really can't like fully like all you know is like what they've told you, and they're obviously there's mysteries that they're going to reveal,
right?
Hopefully, you know, if they do it right. If they don't, I will criticize them for it, but like. They're obviously setting up little mysteries, and you don't know all that. Like they had a flashback episode, and you don't know. And right now, it looks like kind of some silly stuff, but it's because you don't see from everybody's perspective,
right?
What with the incident, So yeah,
that was kind of like, that's also kind of part of the first half of the season for Ahsoka was like that, where they were sprinkling in, like, you didn't know what was happening, like maybe the council is corrupted in some way or what, but you don't know why or how. And maybe they'll, probably in the next season will probably shine a little bit more light on it. But people were complaining about that show for some of the same reasons they're complaining about The Acolyte.
And it's just people want to hate, and there's like Disney hasn't been great with Star Wars. I admit that. I think the movie trilogy was mostly a bust, even though I like The Last Jedi. But it was mostly a bust. A lot of the stuff that they've been doing with their shows, I don't like. This is kind of a different thing that we're seeing. And it's a time period that we have never seen before in like Star Wars, in any kind of movie or TV or anything. Any what they like in books and comic books. That's about the only place where you've seen stuff from like.
And
this
the MMO,
era.
right? Like the MMO takes place
this is technically the High Republic, which is I think is supposed to be even before the Old Republic.
Gotcha.
I think that's how they did it, but like a lot of people, they just want to be mad at anything that Disney puts out with Star Wars, and that leads to like a whole bunch of stupid thing. Like I said last time, like they were complaining about how something with the girl was using the assassins using knives instead of and they're going up against people with laser swords, and it's like, well, the way that she like uses the knives was okay, that's how you get around that shit. So like I don't know, it's a good show, I think, so far. It's interesting. They're doing interesting things with the Force. Like show me things where okay, here's a group of people who look at the Force in a totally different way. That's interesting, because all we ever see is from the Jedi perspective. So show me the Force from somebody else's perspective and how they're thinking, and and not necessarily saying that the people that they showed were even like necessarily using it for good reasons or using, because they were doing some stuff. Like it's all getting away from this like, okay, this is good and this is bad. It's more talking about like, okay, here's the gray area. And that's where storytelling can get very interesting. And you can argue that most of like the original Star Wars was this is good, this is bad, but I think that you can only do so much storytelling when it's just that right. It's done in that way. You have to like start exploring like the gray area, or otherwise it gets really boring really fast. You can't continue to do things just with that outlook. So I think it's good so far. So that's two good shows that's been coming out that I think are pretty good so far. Yeah, that's me.
Good stuff. Let's follow up with Jody. Jody, what have you been up to?
So, taking advantage of the second tier of the PSN Plus account that I have for the next couple of months. So I've been trying new games to me, I should say. So I started playing some game. It's an independent game called Subliminal.
I've heard of this, but I haven't.
It kind of has like the feeling of like Stanley Parable in a way. Jay, have you played that or heard of it?
No, I have not.
It's really cool. So it uses it's first person. It's a first person puzzle game. Imagine like if you've seen or played the Stanley Parable and how like the interiors look in that game. It uses perspective. So, for example, in one of the levels I'm at now, you know how sometimes they have those like 3D sculptures or paintings, and it's like layers, and you have to look at it at a certain point of view for it to make a full image. Well, when you do that in this game, they had like checkered Rubik's Cube on the wall, but it was in parts like that. It was layered. But when you looked at it in the certain perspective, it became an object that you could actually take off the wall and use to step onto to get to the next level.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it uses perspective in the way that, you know, if you take like a box or a sphere or something like that, and you hold it in your hand, and like if you look at it from a downward angle, it looks smaller. So if you take an object and you look towards the ground, it shrinks, and when you drop it, it stays that size.
Oh, that's cool.
And when you hold it and you look above your head and you keep looking above your head, if you let go of it, it retains that size and it drops down, so you can like use your perspectives to kind of like manipulate the area that's around you. And so I've actually been enjoying that quite a bit. I stopped playing Untitled Goose Game because I got frustrated.
I think that's the point.
Honk.
The game has taken another victim.
Yeah. I couldn't get past a certain point without cheating. I watched somebody speed run the game. You can beat the game in 3 minutes if you glitch through it, but that's that defeats the whole purpose for me.
The way you're describing Subliminal, it reminds me of a computer game called The Gallery. It's like that. It's like the how you look at something through at a different perspective.
Yeah.
But you have a camera and you're able to like take pictures of your surroundings, and you're able to plaster that photograph onto the surroundings so that way you can reach areas you're not supposed to.
Right.
Oh yeah, I saw somebody talk about it, and I saw like footage of that.
Yeah, that's kind of how like it reminded me.
Some YouTuber mentioned that. I can't remember.
Subliminal. It's pretty fun actually. And also like when you get in certain areas, the whole thing about the plot of the game is that you're in a dream experiment, and they can't find you. Like, you know, you're supposed to go to a certain area, you know, in your dream, so they can kind of track where you are in your own dream, but they have lost you.
Oh, okay.
And you come across like boom boxes, and if you touch one of them and turn it on, you have the narrator telling you what's going on. And most of the time, he tells you that they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's enjoyable. It's probably like one of those like 5-6 hour games. You probably beat it if you know exactly what to do in like a couple hours. But that is super fun. What wasn't fun is I like going back to certain like niche games or franchises that I like really enjoyed a lot when I was younger. I really enjoyed the Dynasty Warriors series early on.
Yeah.
Hack and slash, really fun stuff. You know, I think Dynasty Warriors 2 was a launch title for the PS2. So, and one of the best titles out of that franchise was the adjacent Samurai Warriors game on the PS2. And so, the last one, Samurai Warriors 5, came out 2 years ago, and 4 came out like 8 years before that.
Yeah.
So it's been long stretches in between. And man, why and how do you take
in that
order, do you take something that's got a simple premise of, hey, pick a guy, kill like 500 dudes to get to another guy to unlock the areas so you can go and do it again until you finish the whole area out. How do you fuck that up? Well, let me tell you how. So they rebooted the story. So it's pretty much like it's always been based off of like Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Or either Romance of the Three Kingdoms or like Nobunaga's Ambition or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Those characters. And so they start the game out with you play as Nobunaga. And I'm like, that's cool. You know, force me to play as a character for the first stage. That's fine. No, motherfucker. You have to play one of two characters that they pick for you for the first half of the game. And oh wait, it gets better. But you can go back later and play certain levels as other characters you unlock. But certain levels you can't because connected to whatever story that they're trying to tell. Also, the camera is shit. Somehow they've managed to fuck up the camera for like a modern game, but it's got a lock-on system. So I was very disappointed in it. I played it for about 2 hours and I watched some reviews on it, and they're very the reviews got mediocre scores, and they talked about like that being a problem, which really sucks because I think the last good version of those games I played was the first Oriachi Warriors game that came out in the 360/PS3 era. I don't know if you ever played any of those. So
I had Warriors Orochi 3 on the Wii U.
Yeah, Warriors Orochi. Basically, what they did was it's a new thing, and it's a shared roster between Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, and Warriors Orochi, which they have their own characters or whatever, and the stories are pretty interesting. They're different than either one of the Dynasty or Samurai Warriors.
3 had Ryu Hayabusa and Rachel from Ninja Gaiden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of you had a lot more options for characters and things like that. Oriachi was really good. Like I think I played 3 a little bit too, and I think like 1, 2, and 3 are pretty awesome. I think Dynasty Warriors fell off at some point, but Samurai Warriors I haven't played 3 or 4, but from what I looked, 4 is also not very good, but it's better than 5. 5 is an absolute shit show. It is absolute garbage.
Dynasty Warriors 9 was the open world one, and it was a very lazy open world because one of the things I love about the maps in most of the early Dynasty Warriors, I'll say Dynasty Warriors because I think I played maybe Samurai Warriors 1, and I've never played anything in the Samurai Warriors series. What I loved about those maps is you had to take it's area control, and you need to take control of the area. It's almost a race.
Right.
You have to race with the other side to take over, because if they start completing their objectives fast, that momentum snowballs.
Right.
And it's almost the same for you, but really and truly, it's when the computer can snowball. They will snowball faster.
Right.
And it's just a matter of getting to your finish line before they do. There's a tenseness to it. So it's not just a matter of, let me just wipe out these entire armies of the Wei Wu and Shu. It's also, you have to complete these objectives in a time manner or you're not going to win.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about those games, because there was a tenseness in the fighting that you had to keep up with. For me, like, Dynasty Warriors 2 and 3 are probably like 2 of my favorite PS2 games of all time.
Yeah.
Just because, and there's a spin-off series that adds strategy elements to it, almost like a, not exactly like, but it reminds me, because you have to set where your units are.
Yeah.
But it's very much like I can't think, Fire Emblem. I couldn't think of the word.
That's the Empire's.
That's the Empire's
games.
versions of them. Yeah. And I think that's pretty cool as well. But yeah, the Koei side of the thing, because that's the one of Koei Tecmo.
Yeah.
If they're working with other people's IP, they actually do a better job.
the Gundam
Warriors, but particularly the Hyrule
Warriors games.
Because
I played the Hyrule and I played the Gundam one a little bit. I played the Hyrule one a little bit more. These are just not types of games that I'm super into, so I never really played like the Dynasty Warriors.
The best one for me that is actually not made by Koei was a game released in Japan. It was based off of a feudal manga series called Sengoku Basara.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They renamed it over here and called it Devil King. It was made by Capcom.
Okay, yeah.
And it's on the PS2, and it's probably like next to Dynasty Warriors 2, 3, and Samurai Warriors 1, like the best version of those kind of games. And that's where it pretty much stops. With the exception, again, of the Oriachi Warriors games were pretty good on, Gen 7 or 8 or whatever the 360 PS3 era was. Those games were pretty decent, but like for some reason, like again, what Jay said, like the Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors franchises have kind of fallen off.
Oh yeah,
which is, again, like those games were simplistic early on, and they've tried to make it like as simplistic but more complicated at the same time, but also taking out your small illusion of choice that you had to begin with by just forcing you to play as one of the main characters in the story. It's like, I don't give a shit. Let me play who I want to play with, and don't force me to, like, it would have been different if that's how the games were always, you know. But don't start changing it like that. The Way of the Samurai, not in that vein, but also that some games just shouldn't be a franchise, I guess. After the second Way of the Samurai, they should have stopped. But
I think if they had kept the design ethos, and again, I think the Empire series helped with that because it allowed, or the Empire spin-off of that.
Right.
Helps because it's a different way of attacking the problem.
Right.
But I just think it fell down to, we need to get this thing out because people are expecting to get this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you did. Okay, good. Yeah, you okay, man?
I swear I'm not falling asleep.
Do you need an energy drink?
I'm not falling asleep. I swear to God.
Do you need to fight a bear?
Possibly.
Okay.
One of us got a full 8 hours of sleep. Guess who? Not me.
Not you.
Not you.
Yeah, no.
There you go.
Can't
I didn't
remember
get
the last time I've got.
I didn't get 8 hours.
I did today.
Oh no.
He's
I
the
think
one.
that's the reason why. I think that's the reason.
lucky.
I think that's the reason why I'm hosting tonight. That's the only
Yeah.
reason.
You
There
were
we go.
lucky.
I had a bit if I did host.
There you go.
I typically get
There you
like 5 if I have good
Oh
sleep.
man, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Samurai Warriors. Anything else you want to add to that?
No.
brother? Right.
Much things to be talked about
All right.
later.
Ethan, welcome back to the land of the living. What have you been up to?
Apparently,
Sleeping?
sleeping, yes, or lack of sleep, yes.
Mm.
No. Recently, I've been playing Biomutant on the PS5.
Okay.
It came out 20.
It's been out for
2020,
about
2021, something
It's
like
been
that.
out for like 3 or 4 years.
I'm having a little fun. I'm having a little fun with it. I know,
little fun.
a little fun.
I know when it
Only a little fun.
I know when it came
Is that
out.
the one with like the little weird fox creature
Yes.
thing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I know which one that is.
I know when
I
it
played
first
it for
came
about
out,
2 hours.
Cam from Making Up Gaming, shout out to Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
God Emperor of Gaming.
He 100%ed it on all like game difficulties.
Nice.
with all.
I mean this with
classes.
actual respect. That is a game where I can absolutely see him 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so he loves that game, and so I'm trying to like.
I'm
do
glad
my own
somebody
thing
does.
with it. And we finally did it. We finally finished the D&D Lego set.
Nice.
It is-
Before you go to that, I have to talk about Biomutant for a second.
I gotta let
Okay.
my heart bleed out.
Hold on,
for
I'll
Biomutant.
let you
Okay,
finish.
played-
we can linger on Biomutant.
I pleaded. I pleaded for the game to not be mediocre. I'm sorry. It's one of those games where it would have been really good on the PS2, even PS3, or original Xbox 360. It would have been on those systems. It would have been fine. But the gameplay style, for it being PS4, PS5, it's a very repetitive gameplay style of gameplay for a game like that. It's like they give you like quote unquote like RPG elements to an action slasher kind of game. Where like it's not Devil May Cry, but it is in that aspect where you do level up your weapons and things of that nature or whatever. The story is somewhat interesting, but the gameplay is very repetitive and it feels just so samey, like throughout the play of it. Like the 3 hours I played, I just really didn't get in. I couldn't get into it. That's just how I feel about it. And most of the internet actually, like, I don't pay attention to that, but I look at reviews after I play a game most of the time, especially if I'm not actually purchasing a game. I think I got it through PlayStation Plus. It was free for a month or something like that, and I played it then. And so I look at reviews after I play something because I don't want that to assuade me in any kind of way. And it's what's worse than a terrible game, or what's better than a good game? A mediocre game. Mediocre is the worst. Mediocrity is the worst thing that can happen when it comes to entertainment, and to me, it was a mediocre game. But anyway,
I can agree with you on that. I can agree. Like there, as I'm playing it, it does get into that like repetitive. Okay, let me hit the square button.
It's so close to being a good game. It's so close.
Okay, especially with the combat.
The combat's very boring.
Let me hit square, square, square. Oh, let me dodge real fast. Okay, back to hitting square, square, square. Oh, you ran away. Let me shoot. Okay, I'm out of bullets. Let me square, square, attack. So yeah, I can definitely understand the repetitive.
And for anybody who's listening, like you just talked about Dynasty Warriors, and those games are very repetitive, yes, but there's constantly something happening the whole time you're pushing buttons. Not in this game. So,
I believe that's it about Biomutant.
Yeah,
I'm going back to the D&Ds, Legos. We finished it finally.
When are you running the campaign?
We just finished it. I haven't gotten enough. I haven't even looked at the campaign book for it yet. But when Bianca got home from work and I'm showing it to her in all of its glory. I have the dragon posed on top of the castle.
That's cool.
She's like, "Oh, let me turn it." She turns it, and one of the pillars for the dungeon fell off, and she's holding the pillars. She's like,
yeah. Legos don't bend unless they're
made to bend.
Yeah.
Unless they're Lego noodles,
or they have hinges.
Yeah.
The next Lego set we are going to tackle is a giant tuxedo cat, where the head and eyes move.
Nice.
These are
pretty cool.
We approve of that here at the Omnibus.
Besides work kicking my ass, that's about it.
I feel that.
There you go. So, this will be mine, but this is everybody's because on June 18th at around, I think, 11 o'clock in the morning Central Time, the Nintendo Corporation put out one of their usual Nintendo Directs. Some, particularly Arlo, the YouTuber, is calling this the greatest Nintendo Direct of all time. At least that was the thumbnail quote on there. This was a very strong Direct. This is a very strong Direct for a system that is arguably within its last years. And you can say that because the pre-release, the day before, they said, we're going to be releasing a Nintendo Direct tomorrow. There will be no talk of the Switch's successor. We're only talking about Switch games. And so it leads you oh, I'm hoping we have a Switch successor. And then they blow us away with, honestly, at the very least, yes, it was a very strong Nintendo Direct.
It's crazy.
And if you're an RPG player, this is probably one of the strongest video game presentations you've been given maybe ever.
So usually, not the last year specifically of a console, but definitely the last couple of years of a console, especially before the successor is out or about to be out or at that point. You usually have some of the best games for the system come out normally during the end of the life cycle of the system.
And it's usually because developers have had time with this system, so they know the system, so they can get as much out of the system.
They want people to go out and buy consoles still.
Yeah.
From the technical standpoint, that is 100% correct.
Yeah.
I am calling it by this holiday season. They're going to announce the Switch's successor to be released next holiday season.
Probably.
That's a good assumption.
Nope.
If it doesn't happen this holiday season, it'll happen next holiday season.
Yeah.
So sometime soon, the Switch is about to become obsolete.
Well,
sometime soon.
Well, no. Hold on.
Obsolete is not the right word.
No, it's not, because not just Nintendo, but pretty much and PS4 is a terrible example, I know, but that system's still running strong.
Yeah.
And probably will, because they're already talking about that the PS5 is getting close to the end of its life cycle in 2 to 3 years, probably. And PS3, they didn't turn the OS off on that thing until a year ago or whatever. So the system's it'll still have support, especially third-party support. First-party support, it'll still have for the year of the new system out.
I think It was like 2 years ago when Ubisoft said, "This is the last Just Dance we're making for the Wii." What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff. I actually paid attention to this. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to it when it happened, but I saw all the stuff after it happened, and I got fairly excited for a lot of things.
My best of show is going to be Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. That's something I've been waiting for a while, because right now the only ones that are readily available to get online are a mobile port, which is kind of like, if it's a cell phone from like 5 years ago, okay, it'll work for you. But for me, like, I wanted like a proper thing. And what I really loved about this is whoever is behind this over at Square Enix, they've designed it with the visual aesthetics of the Live Alive remake in mind, because the way the character movement is, the backgrounds, this
Very
is
fluid.
This is it's absolutely exceptional. And the big news that they added along with that, once they were done announcing 3, the theme for Dragon Quest comes on, and it finishes the mural of the 3 games. And so that late this year, we're getting Dragon Quest 3, which is arguably the greatest, and if very least possibly the most influential RPG of all time. Final Fantasy has some arguments across its series. I would argue that something like Suikoden 2 has a few arguments for there as well. But the fact that we're getting all 3 of these within the span of months of one another,
Right.
because we're getting 3 and then we're going to get 1, 2. So chronologically, as Yuji Ori, who was the creator of Dragon Quest, said, the story is 3, 1, 2 as far as the Erdrick saga, also known as the Loto saga in Japan. I'm excited about it. I'm excited
about it because, like, again, me and Jay were talking about on the way up here. It's like I got to play those games early on, but only renting them.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get to beat any of them. Very rarely did I, like, 'cause when I was like super young and like gaming was just starting to be a thing. You know, it still mostly amongst kids and teenagers. You didn't get like JRPGs often, and it really wasn't like a quote unquote genre. It was just like here's Dragon Warrior or here's Final Fantasy. They really didn't talk about too
and that's
much.
pretty much it.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot, and also it wasn't like sold as a genre. Again, it was sold as these games.
Yeah,
you know, so they weren't really. It wasn't really. I'm super stoked to be able to own these and play these.
Yeah. This was not one like Dragon Quest has just never been one that's been super on my radar. So this was not one I was super excited about.
I will share the interest of Bianca, who is unfortunately not here with us tonight.
Oh my God, that sounded horrible.
Yeah,
I said tonight.
Yeah, I know. This is like
She was here moments
Bianca
ago.
went home early.
Yeah.
Yes. Bianca is getting some rest. Legend
that
of Zelda.
also didn't sound right at the
Getting some rest. Not
Bianca will
was
rest.
She was not put to rest. Okay.
She fought the. I feel.
She went one on one with the Undertaker.
I want to be Teddy Long. Was that player? You got a 1-on-1 with the Undertaker. You're tired.
I am. Yeah. Legend of Zelda, typically a game where you play the protagonist Link.
Right. Not this time.
This time. Echoes of Wisdom. You are playing Princess Zelda.
Yep.
Right.
You have a wand that allows you to make echoes of things you've interacted in the world with.
So you interact with like they said in the in the video, you interact with the table. You can now make copies of that table to use it to get to other areas of the game. You can copy enemies. You can copy water.
You copy the water block to create like a thing you can swim up to get to the higher level.
I think that
oh
is
my God.
funny.
It's genius, and it's going to be this year. Like we're going to be getting it at the end of this year,
September of this year.
I liked how they use an example of her using beds to climb up like a staircase.
You make a bed stairs.
Yeah,
it is phenomenal.
What drew me to this one was the fact that they're using the art style of the Link's Awakening remake.
Yeah.
Which Link's Awakening has a special place in my heart because it was like the first Zelda game, Legend of Zelda game that I ever played. Definitely the first one that I ever beat. So yeah, just them keeping that style was very interesting to me. And that means that there's a chance that it has that's connected to Link's Awakening since it has that same. I don't know if they said anything about that.
Kind of like a kind of like thinking that this is like a sequel or a prequel.
It could be
or-
possibly, yeah.
OG Ganon,
Yeah.
Yeah.
got some OG.
Well, Link to the Past.
Link to
Ganon
the
was
Past
there, so
Ganon,
that was pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
The way I'm thinking, because of like the actions that Link was taking in the
Mm-hmm.
trailer, like it's going to like start out like the game is going to start with you playing as Link, you defeating Ganon, and then Link gets trapped into whatever purple dimension he gets sucked into, and then you naturally switch over to Zelda. So
Yeah.
that's the way I'm thinking this is gonna play out.
We always think of Shigeru Miyamoto, and I just like to give just a quick shout out to Eiji Aonuma, because what he's done under being the head of the Zelda franchise, what he's done with this has been absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Like you have these sweeping epics like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and then you also have these simpler, like more to the classic Legend of Zeldas in the remake of Link's Awakening, what we have now with Echoes of Wisdom. This is the first Nintendo made Nintendo made Zelda game where you're playing as Zelda,
Right.
And I love the fact that she's not just taking the wand and beating people over the head with it like Link would be doing. She's using it in a way that is different, and for the champion of wisdom makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. For the Mario lovers, there were several Mario games announced.
Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is crazy because typically, you only get one of those per game system.
Yeah.
With the exception of the N64, where the first 3 came out on.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was also the Brothers game.
Mario and Luigi
Brothership.
Yeah.
Brothership.
Yeah,
yes.
the Brothership, which looks like a sort of hybrid Mario RPG game with some action elements.
It
in
looks fun.
Yeah, it's they've done those Mario and Luigi games, and they're kind of RPG. They're kind of like hybrid RPG things.
I was never a big fan of the Mario and Luigi series.
They never really like stuck out to me as something that I wanted to play. So.
It looks good.
There's the remaster of Luigi's Mansion
Luigi's
2.
Mansion
I saw that,
2,
yeah.
yes.
Also,
cool.
the Donkey Kong
Donkey
Returns.
Kong
Country
Yeah.
Returns
Yeah.
remake, which because the second one, Tropical Freeze, has already been on, which that was a remake of the Wii U game.
Yeah.
And that looks exceptional.
Looks really cool.
If Retro Studios has anything to do with that, I'm really happy about that.
There were some announcements for their service. They're putting N64 titles on their service now.
Well, they've had N64, but
Well,
specifically
mature.
these. Well, I mean, they've had GoldenEye, which
Yeah.
technically was a mature
Right,
game, I think,
right.
as well. But Turok and Perfect Dark are coming to the service, along with on the Game Boy Advance side, you're getting Four Swords, Legend of Zelda Four Swords,
and Zero.
and Metroid Zero Mission.
Yeah.
Which is the remake of the original Metroid with
Yeah.
the added content where the Zero suit first showed up.
Also, A Link to the Past.
Yeah, well, no. That's because so Four Swords had A Link to the Past on the cart. If you want to play the original Link to the Past, you could already do that because it's part of the Super Nintendo catalog that they already have. But you could also
Four
play
Swords,
it again. You could also play it again because it was part of the Four Swords cart as well. But online 4-player co-op Four Swords, where everybody doesn't have to have the fucking cart.
Right.
That seems pretty cool to me. I like that. I want to hit back on the RPGs because we got
There's a lot of RPGs. I'm not excited about Phantom Brave. I played the first one on the
I was
PS2.
surprised.
Phantom
I
Brave
was surprised by it.
that's coming
Like
out.
a new Phantom Brave.
Right.
Holy shit! And I think I don't think Sony. I don't think Sony would have had that on a PlayStation. I don't think specifically Microsoft would have had that on the Xbox.
right.
That was going to be. I could have seen it on Steam.
Sure.
Because I like when Suikoden the HD remakes of Suikoden 1 and 2 are getting released. I have that already wish listed on Steam.
Yeah.
So I could see Steam doing that, but Nintendo would be the one major console company that would put
What
that
was
back
the name of the game? It's a new IP that looked like Danganronpa. Do you remember? The
100-line War Academy. It's like the 100-line War Academy. When I saw that, I was like, this thing should be called Anime the Video Game.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it definitely
But
had.
yeah, it's the same studio that did Danganronpa.
Yeah.
And it's like the 100-line or the 100 Brave.
right.
Like Battle Academy.
That's another turn-based.
Yeah, you have to survive 100 days of anime battles.
There was one. It was an RPG called Fantasian Neo Dimension, which is like a re-release of a
It was an Apple Arcade game,
yeah.
but specifically, it's a Hironobu Sakaguchi and Uematsu who did the music. So it's like two of the founding fathers of the Final Fantasy franchise are coming together.
Yeah, that one
and
looked
Square
very
Enix
interesting.
is putting it out, which if you know about recent history with them and Sakaguchi, that's kind of strange in my opinion, but very welcome. And so I'm happy about that. There's a remake of Romancing Saga 2,
which is also wild.
which is another thing that just came straight out of what the fuck is going on. There is a Lego Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think looks precious.
Yeah.
I think it looks absolutely amazing.
Looks really
I think
cool.
that's something where I think kids could get involved in the Horizon saga with that.
I want to play it. I don't play Lego games, and I want to play that one.
There's the Tales of the Shire, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
game.
Yeah, the Hobbit stories.
That one I'll pass on.
Yeah. The thing that actually made me look at Nintendo Direct, because it's not just coming out for Nintendo, but it's coming out for several other systems, is the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
I knew you'd be psyched for this.
That was the thing. I was like, oh yeah, because it has like all of these games that were very important to me growing up.
Yeah.
Like X-Men versus Street Fighter. I think it's called initially X-Men versus Capcom, or
it's X-Men versus Street Fighter, X-Men versus Capcom, X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel versus Capcom 1 and 2, and then the Punisher
and Nick Fury arcade game.
Yeah.
I will buy it and I will bring it up here to the shop for all of us to play.
Like I'm gonna get it on PlayStation 4 just because that's a better controller for.
I love the
games,
fact because there's two separate sets of branding with that. You have the Marvel versus Capcom stuff, but then you also have the Capcom fighting game collection branding.
Yeah.
Which I think is fantastic because it gives. Okay, do you want the Street Fighter fighting game collection? This is what it looks like. It's here. Do you want just the Capcom fighting game collection, which will have Darkstalkers and like Warzard and like all those games? That one's in there as well.
Right.
Then you've got now the Marvel versus Capcom one. I wish Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was in there because while it's not as good as 2, I still think it's a good game in its own right.
Sure.
And I feel like it gets lumped in with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is not good.
Right.
Yeah. The one that I wish was there was a Wii game. It was
Tatsunoko?
yeah.
Tatsunoko
versus Capcom.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one's probably like a
That might get its own thing with like a Capcom cross.
Well, that's probably the
fighting game collection.
when it comes to like rights holders. That's probably
it's an issue.
It might not ever.
I think
We
there's
might
an
not
issue
ever
there,
see
but
that one.
then again, like I said, I could see a Capcom cross fighting game collection because you'd have that SNK. You have a lot of stuff that could fall
if they
in
could
there.
if they could get the rights, but the again, like Brady said, like it's they have like all of G-Force is in that game, which is from like in America Battle of the Planets, but overseas it was G-Force or Gotcha Man, I should say. And a bunch of weird characters.
Yeah, it's a very weird game.
That were like, for example, if you ever played like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or 3 and wondered like why there was a cactus in there, it's one of the
guy with the giant mech is also in that
Yeah.
one. I can't remember. It starts with a J, but I can't remember his name. I played Marvel vs. Capcom 1 a whole lot, and Marvel Superheroes. I had those. Those were some early games that I got for the play. In fact, like Marvel Superheroes, I played that in the arcade, and after I played that, that's what made me go, okay, for Christmas I want a PlayStation because I found out it was coming out on PlayStation. So that's the game that like made me want to get that console.
Right.
And then I have like fond memories of like Children of the Atom was in like the arcade with was the arcade cabinet in the Pizza Hut near me.
Right.
So I played that one a
Ironically,
lot.
we kept our Nintendo Play Choice 10 for like 2 decades.
Damn.
At the Pizza Hut in Ocean Springs, as I remember.
But yeah, that's the one that I'm super excited for.
Speaking of Play Choice 10, there is the NES Championships.
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought that was great. I like the idea that exists.
I liked the mode. Some of the modes were like whatever, like high score mode. It's like whatever. I really liked the survival mode, which is like basically like a battle royale where you're playing by yourself, but if you don't do well enough, fast enough, you get knocked out every round.
Yeah.
Looks really, really interesting. And
I felt less like I guess this is also survival, but I felt less like that being survival and more being like, God, what's the name of the game? Fall Guys.
Yeah.
Except you're playing separately rather than like
Well,
you're playing separate games instead of other people.
I akin it to the Tetris game where there was 100 people playing at the same time.
Tetris 99.
Right, it's the same
Still
concept.
exists. I still play it every now and again on the Switch.
Yeah.
Same concept. And then like what was it?
There's Mario. There was Super Mario
F-Zero,
30,
F-Zero,
F-Zero 99, which I think is still going.
Pac-Man 99.
Pac-Man 99.
Yeah, those were all interesting. And if we don't have any other games to talk about,
Well, this one that I saw, I don't think it was announced for the Nintendo Direct, but I'd seen something about this, and I'm super interested because Atlas announced a new game that's not like Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, and it's called Metaphor ReFantazio.
oh yeah,
That looks like so fucking stylish and cool.
That one
And
does look
I'm
interesting.
interested to play something that is outside of that Shin Megami Tensei
Same.
from Atlas.
Yeah,
but still
same.
has
That,
like
that
over,
isn't Catherine.
that has
Well, yeah.
that over the top style.
They used to have like not necessarily franchises, but Atlas back, especially during the PS3 360 era, and even the PS2 era actually, because you had like Double Summoner.
Yep.
There was so
but
many.
that was actually a Shin Megami Tensei game.
Yeah, it was, but
And technically, all the personas they're all under the
yeah,
Shin Megami
they
Tensei.
are. But Atlas did have a handful of games that weren't in that universe. I'm
I
pretty
like the
sure.
Surgeon game.
Which one?
Most of them were like.
Well, I'm not saying they weren't, but I mean like, there was a handful of games that weren't like
Trauma-
Catherine.
Trauma Center Under the Knife, which
yeah,
is the Wii.
I remember
Right,
That
yeah,
was
right.
That was fun.
That was very early. That was actually on the DS.
It was
at
on
first,
the on the DS first, and then it came
Yeah.
over. I like the Wii's better because I think that played better on a bigger screen with the and those motion controls actually work pretty
Especially if you look at the PS2 era, they have quite a few like non Shin Megami Tensei games that are on there. But for the Nintendo Direct, though, they saved, I would say the best, because it depends on what you like, but they saved the one
well.
that
Just Dance.
Just Dance 2025.
When it's like, okay, we need something to bring people down from Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah.
So here's a Just Dance.
Yeah.
And then they did something else, and then they finally hit it with the last one, which is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone should have like lost their shit when that was announced, because that was a game that nobody thought was ever going to come out.
Yeah.
At least people were like, it's going to be on the Switch 2 whenever it comes out.
Yeah, that is very surprising when I saw that. I was like, oh, okay.
And
Shit.
it depending on when it comes out in 2025 or when the Switch 2 comes out, it might be on both consoles.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
That is very possible.
I will say this: I believe some of the footage you saw from Metroid Prime 4 was
Was
actually,
on the Switch
actually
2.
the successor, but they're
I've
not
seen
saying
articles saying.
I wouldn't be
asking that
surprised
question.
either way.
Like, because to me, okay, like Nintendo it has a problem in that they have a wealth of games that they could pick for a system launcher, like Mario, Zelda, Metroid. If they wanted to, Star Fox, although
Right.
it's arguable the Star Fox series has fallen off.
Yeah.
The more recent one for the Wii U was actually
Right.
a very. I think they tried to put too many bells and whistles. Just put me in a space fighter and let me shoot things.
Right.
Like I'm okay with the Landmaster. Give me the tank too. I'm okay with
Right.
the tank as well. But like they tried to do too much stuff with it, and I think they kind of took away from it. If anything, I think the biggest release that we've seen from was actually Star Fox 2 on the
Super
SNES,
Nintendo
on the
Classic.
SNES Classic
Yeah.
system, and like so we can play that.
Right.
So, yeah, it's weird to announce Metroid Prime 4 as a Switch title. Then again, Breath of the Wild was going to be and was actually a Wii U title, and then they moved, and then it was also the first title on the Switch. Because
Right.
if you'll notice, the Sheikah Slate actually looks more like a Wii U tablet than it does
Sure.
the Switch tablet, though it
Right.
still does kind of look like a Switch as well.
Right.
So yeah, I think overall this was a very strong Nintendo Direct. It makes me very excited for a lot of games that I would like to pick up, and I can't wait for the Dragon Warrior remake to make it to cartridge because that is immediately going to go in my Nintendo.
This, and I think I said this last week, or yeah, I'm pretty sure I said it last week. This and like Xbox's showcase, Xbox's showcase, which I don't even have an Xbox currently, but the games coming out the middle and end of this year and the beginning of next year for those two systems are like through the fucking roof, through the roof.
Yeah, I think honestly, PlayStation needs to pick it up.
Yeah, PlayStation and PC need to pick it up.
I fear when September rolls around, Bianca's just gonna lock me out of the bedroom and she's just gonna play Zelda until she completes it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think PC is fine because PC has Steam and Steam has like.
Well, I mean-
like Steam has access to all of the indies nearly, and so I think
Right.
there's not a lot. But like as far as like you want to talk about AAA promotion, like
No.
okay, Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
I'm just referring to the games that were announced last week during the showcases.
Yeah.
PC Gamer's 10th anniversary showcase, which was like 80% cozy games
Yeah.
and like 4 RTSs and whatever else.
They love their cozy games.
PC Gamers not so much, which is wild. That's more of a mobile game kind of thing.
My response to that is Stardew Valley.
I mean, sure.
Like Stardew Valley at the very that may be the exception that proves the rule, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of that being played on PC.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised.
Honestly,
by
I lump Minecraft into that.
Ooh.
yeah.
Minecraft.
Like you can play Minecraft. Like and if you're in creative mode, that's
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think it bleeds a little bit because once your house has been blown up by the third time by a creeper, it's no longer cozy.
Yeah. It's just nothing but murderous
There's
rage.
PTSD there that you're gonna just
the
have.
flying demons,
The Warden.
the warden.
Farmagia. I forgot to mention Farmagia.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have a cozy farming game, except that you farm monsters to kill
Right.
bigger monsters.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
all for that.
Yeah,
I've never played it, but isn't that Terraria?
that's also a
That's the 2D Metroid style of
Minecraft. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never played Terraria before, so
Terraria is better on a PC in my opinion because the mouse and click control is better. I think it plays better on a console than Minecraft plays on a console.
but the controls of it.
Yeah, because it's a 2D plane, like it's stuff like that. But the actual building and stuff is still kind of tedious for me unless
Right.
it's on a keyboard. And a mouse.
gotcha.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
But
we're excited about video games.
yeah, I'm excited about the Nintendo.
Yeah.
Which I am a fanboy. So there you go. There.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I have been waiting for some kind of Nintendo announcement for quite some time.
I've been waiting for the Switch 2 announcement, and I was told it's not coming. But I'm still excited now, so I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay
yeah,
with that.
yeah.
All righty. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the bus this week. If you would like to leave feedback on anything we've talked about in this or any other past episodes, travelers on the omnibus at gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L on the omnibus at gmail.com. Jody, how else can they engage with us?
You can contact us through our Spotify and message us directly and take part in any polls, which we always have. I'm assuming we don't have any feedback this
No
week.
feedback this week because I went straight to how you can give us feedback because the feedback furnace is empty. We need the coal.
It's been empty for a while.
We
but
had one
that's
the week previous. What are you talking about?
Before that.
We only go by week to week.
I see.
It was completely
Well,
filled for.
I was just pointing out that's the first time you've done that.
yeah,
So
in a big long while. Yeah, but there you go. And also, ladies and gentlemen,
Ever.
if you've been enjoying what we've been presenting you tonight or in any other night previous, and you would like to share that with your friends, family, or other people that you share things with, but they do not listen to podcasts on the same channels that you listen to, we're available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Amazon Music. Say ma, say me. It's time for the main topic. So at the time of the recording, the year is 2024, and the Paris Olympics are going to be firing off in about a month. And that gave us the idea that, hey, the Olympics are been like a part of pretty much all of our lives, some more than others because they've lived longer. Ha ha ha. But no, the Olympics, for anyone who doesn't know, is a 4-year event arranged by the International Olympic Committee. Basically represented by all the nations of the world where they bring their finest athletes to compete in various games. Typically, classically, all the sports from Greece. However, we've added a whole bunch since then. Basketball probably being the most prominent of those as far as those. But soccer also has an Olympic medal event as well. And we thought, let's talk about not just the Olympics, but the Olympics in media throughout the years and events like where they've either featured the Olympics either as part of a series, either in books, movie, or television, or in video games, particularly games that are based off of the Olympic Games. And so that is our topic for this morning, evening, noon, or night, depending on when you're listening to us. And I now open the floor to the travelers. What do we want to start off with?
I get soda out.
Go for it, brother.
Real fast.
Go for it.
This is probably gonna be like where like the bulk of my Olympic and other media is going to resign in.
Incidentally, the Olympic Committee is looking to vote on whether or not there will be an E-Olympics. So we'll finally see esports represented in some sort of form by the Olympic. Not necessarily maybe at the Olympics, but at a separate event, like basically the esports Olympics.
Right.
That's very intriguing to me. Just like the passage of time and what
I
we
imagine
accept
like
as
most
competition.
other like places that are doing that probably aren't super crazy about that.
I think it was
that's
wild.
a weird thing.
It was wild when they started adding exports
Yeah.
to the Olympics. Like, that was a big deal.
Yeah, skateboarding and BMX racing
snowboarding.
and stuff like
not
that.
not Olympics related, but when
Snowboarding was in there for a lot earlier than like other
Sure,
like
right.
like the non-winter sports. Like there's a when it comes to like the Winter Olympics, like they were it was easier to get in with like those quote unquote like extreme
Sure,
sports,
right.
than it was for something like
Skateboarding,
or,
yeah.
I know like BMX racing is in there and stuff like that.
So again, not Olympics related, but this was always something that fascinated me. Before he passed away, Pope John Paul II had a visit to the Vatican by break dancers, and they did this break dancing routine. And at the end of it, John Paul II, who, depending on you ask, is God's true vicar on earth, stated, "These are truly gifts given to us by God." So. Take that for what you will, but like the passage of time and what
I
we
feel like
accept,
that's like going and giving like a Mountain Dew Code Red, going back in time and giving it to
Giving it
like
to a peasant boy.
yeah,
in
like
France.
a 16th century peasant, and it's like something that
It's ambrosia.
that he's never fucking seen before.
there you go.
What magical liquid from the gods have you given me?
It just, again, we talk about time and sensibilities, and again, the matter. It's like, again, things like skateboarding, snowboarding, things like that in the Winter Olympics. We would never have considered.
We could do a whole thing. We could do
Like-
a whole thing about like talking about like things that aren't in the Olympics anymore, because there was some weird shit back in the day. But yeah. I
But
do
yeah,
want to.
I think that's a novel thing that how they've evolved over time to include sports that were never considered. Like again,
Yeah.
it was supposed to mimic the ancient Olympics, and then just kind of worked out from there.
Well, yeah. I will say, like, when I was looking, it was very hard to come up. Like, I basically looked in 3 places for like video games, then movies, and then also like in TV shows, and that's because Google is fucking terrible nowadays.
It's trash.
It was impossible to find
Yeah.
anything about like TV shows that have had something to do with the Olympics. Like, I know back in the day, there had to have been, I can't remember any of them, but there had to be like episodes of TV shows where something happens with somebody who's from the Olympics, like an Olympic, some super famous Olympic person at that time, or or where they went to the Olympics or something like that.
To me, it feels like it feels natural that there was at least one Futurama episode where it was like the Olympics in the year 3000 and see how different it is in the future.
Well, there
Yeah,
was the
there
Laugh
was-
Olympics.
Yeah. There was an episode of Futurama where they talk about like some version of the Olympics, but it doesn't hold up very well. Yeah, like that's the one episode that I think is like, ooh, that's really bad. But yeah. Yeah, like I just couldn't, like I know back in the day with like those old TGI Fridays shows and stuff like that, they had to have those episodes. 'Cause
Well,
they
they
do
had
shit like that, but I couldn't find anything. If somebody else has,
So
something,
like
yeah.
for me, like the Olympics proper, like the culmination was like 1984's Olympics. I was 12, dating myself, but hey, I'm old as fuck. And that's when you have like Mary Lou Retton and like gets the gold in all
Yeah.
the categories. She was in a lot of media because of winning all of that. She really did well. Like most people who win gold, they don't go on to be on TV or anything like
Well,
that.
I think that was when that was probably like when it really started to where like there would be one or two who'd come out of an Olympics and they'd be a celebrity. That's
Right.
like your Michael Phelps and
Right.
Damn, what's the gymnast? Damn, she's going to be competing.
Simone Biles.
Simone Biles, yeah, ones like that.
Right.
Where like it's a person who wins a lot, so they have like they make them the celebrity of
You also have a Usain Bolt.
yeah, Usain Bolt and ones like that.
Right. So in the 80s, it was merely written. Like
Yeah.
she was the outlier for that, and
Yeah.
she was in a slew of TV shows, mostly just in one episode or a cameo in a movie. She was in a segment on the Scrooged movie in 1988.
Yeah, I remember that. She was Tiny Tim in the in the crappy TV
the crappy
show that
TV
they were
version of
making.
Scrooge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of that. Yeah. She was in the episode of Baywatch,
Of course, yeah.
which is nutty. She was on
Mary Lou Retton was a gymnast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
I
was,
think she was America's first perfect 10 at the Olympics.
I believe so. She was the first woman at the time to be put on the Wheaties box, which was a big deal because its cereal company had been doing that for like 60 years. She was in the movie Naked Gun 33 and a Third as herself.
Yeah.
Some show.
Don't worry, Ethan. There weren't 33.
No. I've
other
seen the
ones.
Naked Gun movies.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
I've seen them.
I made that mistake
That's
when
the
I
most angry I've heard you at that. This
I
joking
made
at
that
your age.
mistake when I was a child. I was like,
Where's
the other
32?
where's
32?
Naked Gun 32?
Yeah.
It goes from 1 to 2 to 33 and a third. You're missing some.
Wasn't like 1 to 2.5 and then 33.
I
and a
can't
third?
remember. to
She
be
was
honest.
on the 2018 version of Dancing with the Stars
Of
as
course,
the
that
contestant.
sounds about right. She's probably not the only one who's been on Dancing with the Stars.
Probably not.
She's probably the closest thing that of an actual star that was in that compared to most of the people who was on that show.
Right.
I didn't think of that like I guess I was pretty lazy where I didn't think about like how like to look at that, like look up specific Olympians who have been on like TV shows and stuff. That would have probably been a better thing to do.
Yeah, that I did not even think of like that route. Like I was thinking like, okay, besides the actual Olympics, where have I seen the Olympics besides the Olympics?
Well, the first thought, like I just said it a few seconds ago, the Hanna-Barbera Laugh Olympics, which is where you get like a bunch of Hanna-Barbera characters competing in some ludicrous cartoon Olympics.
Well, then that's kind of also a spinoff of Wacky Races.
Wacky races, yeah. Mm-hmm.
My first immediate thought was the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Yeah,
That's a thing.
that was a big one too.
I think they've been doing that for Olympics up to the Tokyo Olympics because I haven't
Started
seen one
in
this year.
07, 08, and
the last installment
and the last
was for
one was
Tokyo in
was
2019.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Video games is where like you're gonna get a lot of like the Olympics stuff because pretty much since the 1980s Moscow Olympics, there's been either an official game or an unofficial game where they have made something that has to do with the Olympics.
From what I saw,
Because every 4 years is the only time where we start caring about certain sports,
Right.
whether it be track and field, gymnastics, or swimming. Those three main things, like that's when we start caring about those sports. Is every 4 years when our nationalism flares up.
when the Winter Olympics come, I'm always rooting for the USA for the curling team.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about luge and skeleton until the Winter Olympics come around, and then I'm all about watching idiots fly down
luge is like the most frightening thing. I'm like
skeleton's even worse because they go down face forward.
Yeah. Oh, so you actually see death as it approaches you. Yeah.
Yeah, luge your feet forward.
Yeah.
Skeleton, they call it the moonshine of sports because you go down face forward.
There you go.
Super dangerous.
I always thought, like, as a young person, that the Winter Olympics were more interesting. At least most of the
overall,
events.
it really is. I think just because like
The biathlon for me.
the variety, I think, because like I'm sorry, Jay, I'm gonna let you finish in just a
Okay,
second.
no problem.
But
Go for it.
because like okay, they're racing, and it's just like how long are they racing? Is it 100 meters, or are they doing it like it? But you're still seeing them race, whereas there's like much more different things in there. But I would imagine if you looked at it, there are actually more different things. But
Well,
like
yeah.
the big thing, like swimming, they're going to be swimming some way from one end of the pool to the other. It just depends on how many laps they're swimming
Right.
and what stroke they are allowed to use.
Now, bobsledding, you have no idea when it's.
Yeah, bobsledding feels different from like something else. Like there is a difference in that.
Speaking of bobsledding, quite possibly my favorite Olympics movie of all time, Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings.
Cool
is a good
Runnings.
one.
Jamaican bobsleds.
The Jamaican bobsled team. That's a good movie.
John Candy too.
John Candy got John Candy in there. That's because it was a super interesting story.
The Jamaica. It was based off of a true story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Loosely, but still based off of a true story.
Most.
I want to speak. I want to speak on the biathlon.
Yeah,
real
yeah. I'm
quick.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the triathlon, it's like running, jumping. Like okay, the decathlon, it's all about like events where it's like you using your fit, like triple jump, long jump, all these
It
things.
could be argued like whoever wins the decathlon is probably the best athlete
in
of
the
the
world.
Olympics.
In
the world. Yeah.
absolutely, 100%. I can co-sign on that. But the biathlon, it starts with skiing, and the other part is shooting.
Yeah. It's like cross country skiing and shooting.
Then you shoot.
Stop and ski
Yeah.
shoot for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
And it's what the fuck.
That was also like one of the weird like off branded events was skeet shooting.
Yeah. Mhm.
Always thought that was really strange just
They
to
have
have
target
that.
shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have archery.
Archery.
too.
I always liked watching archery
Like
for some
archery,
reason.
like that. Like we're going back to Greece. Like we're
Yeah.
going, like,
Right.
We're fighting Achilles.
Well, just
at
the
this point.
bows that they use are like really weird because they're like super. They're very interesting. There's a celebrity who's like qualified for the Olympics before with archery. Is it? I don't want to say it wrong. My gut says Gina Gershon, but I could be wrong about that. But I also could be right.
We also have there's a little bit of crossover between like Olympic athletes and other sports. For example, going from the Olympics to another sport or a sports entertainment. Kurt Angle was in the Olympics, right?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Well,
like
not just he won the
He
gold
won the
medal.
he won the
gold.
gold medal.
with a broken freaking
With a
neck.
broken
Yeah.
neck.
Yeah. You had him. Mark Henry was also.
Mark Henry was in the Olympics as weightlifting, right?
For weightlifting.
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda
for
Rousey
judo.
has been was judo.
Right.
But then she went into MMA and then into wrestling. So
Right.
so there's a different thing with that.
And then you have the Dream Team, right? You have basketball
Yeah.
to the Olympics.
Yeah,
Well-
the dream team, that was a weird thing because before then, like the USA had lost like really bad all the time for the Olympics,
Right.
And this was a time where we're like, fuck it, we're stacking the deck because before
Well-
then it was just
Well, it's not even that. Countries could send their professionals, except the United States.
yeah.
And then we were given the green light to send our professionals. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you picked a bad time to do that.
Yeah.
Was it Larry Bird?
The starting five.
Yeah.
Starting five, I believe, were Michael Jordan at the shooting guard, Magic Johnson at point, Larry Bird at shooting forward, Charles Barkley at power forward, and I think David Robinson at center.
Right.
That is the best starting lineup of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And then when you needed to sub them out, in comes John Stockton, Chris Mullen, fucking who else? Patrick Ewing. Basically, the second best lineup ever put together.
Yeah, it
all
was like
time.
11 of the best NBA players ever, and then
and
like
Christian Laettner.
and one dude, one white guy from college.
Yeah. Arguably, Christian Laettner was one of, if not the greatest college basketball player of all time. That is an arguable point to make. However,
Yeah.
in putting him in, they didn't put in Shaq.
Yeah.
if Shaquille O'Neal had been put in there, that would have been the greatest.
Yeah.
That would have been the greatest lineup.
Yeah,
of
that
all
was
time.
the thing.
Because Shaq was still at LSU at the time.
Did you know they made a video game based off of that team?
That doesn't surprise me because that was like super marketable.
They made one. It was called.
They sold so many windbreakers that were red, white, and blue that said Dream Team on the back of them.
It's called Team USA Basketball. It was on the Genesis and Mega Drive, and the game was a spinoff of the Bulls versus Lakers video game, but it was made through to the population of the 1992 Olympic basketball team.
I learned an interesting fact since we're talking about basketball. The women's Olympic team has not lost going for the gold since 1990.
Wow.
Yeah, they are probably the most like dominant like sport of like any of the team stuff, especially. Like I don't think anybody's been as dominant as that.
I would argue comparably almost across the board. U.S. women's sports consistently perform better in international stuff than men's.
Oh yeah.
United States,
no doubt.
Because you got the women's and then like the women's soccer team consistently does better than the men's.
No, I mean track and field, swimming, gymnastics, like the whole deal. We do a very good job in this country preparing our women to compete at the highest levels in almost all sports that we allow them to compete in. I will go to my grave saying that. Right now,
I will not argue with that fact because I believe that is true.
Yeah,
we talked a lot about
that Team USA basketball was connected to the Barcelona 1992.
Yeah, the 1992 Olympics.
Right.
There was. This is just going to be a weird thing. This is kind of like in media. So I was watching the synchronized. I was 12 years old, but this sticks out of my head. I was watching the synchronized swimming because it was women in swimsuits. I'm a pig. I admit this.
Sure.
Yes.
So
You were also 12.
yes. I forgot which country. It was a European country, but they're dancing and they have their music going on, and then all of a sudden, Queen's Barcelona, just the part where Freddie Mercury goes Barcelona, and it completely fucked up their synchronized routine, and it was like, what the fuck? And they didn't let them redo it. What the fuck? That's unfair.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're literally doing their routine, and it's just like this classical piece, and like. There is like at the highest levels of these things, which happens at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right.
There is especially for these in gymnastics and things like that, where your body is moved in a rhythm. There is a actual proper artistry to this.
Yeah.
And they're going just so perfectly. And it's almost like if like you were like watching a movie, like you're watching, say, like Chariots of Fire. We'll keep it in the Olympic kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're watching Chariots of Fire, and then all of a sudden a jump scare from Saw shows up for 2 seconds and then goes away, and there's no explanation. It's like, can we rewind that? And like, no, we can't. We have to keep going.
I like that you went with Saw, which famously is famous for its jump scares.
Yeah. It's a multi-tiered joke, sir.
Yeah.
It's just the way it
I know.
is.
To stay on point because we're talking about just the Olympics. So
I mentioned Freddie Mercury. That's media.
No. We've
Tag
all
nabbit.
been talking about the Olympics as a whole, which is great. It's fine because we're actually like really excited about it. But recently, not the Olympics, but I think if this dude's not going to be in the figure skating competition, I don't know what's wrong with the world. Can't remember the name of the dude. But like a couple weeks ago in some competition, might even be a qualifier for something for the Olympics, did a you know how they have the triple Lutz in figure skating? This motherfucker turned 6 goddamn times in the air.
I saw that. I also saw like I think it was like a couple of years ago, a guy did a fucking backflip on that on skates,
right?
Ice skates, which is insane to me.
Fucking nuts.
And then you had a few years ago, Simone Biles. There's some move that I can't say because I just don't know gymnastics. But they told her she couldn't do it because that would mean other women would try it.
Right.
So they could actually compete with her,
Yeah.
and they would probably hurt
And
themselves.
they would
doing it.
die.
and they would probably kill themselves doing it.
I saw one of I just heard of her recently. I just saw one of her qualifying things from a few months ago. I was like, "What? Who is this?"
She's
I
fucking
found
insane.
it. I found it.
You found the 6 sluts.
I don't think that came out the way you thought it did, or it came out exactly the way you wanted it to. And I'm shaking my finger at you, sir.
Okay, well, Ilya Malinin wins first world figure skating title with historic 6 quadruple jumps.
There you go.
Yeah, we only care about a lot of these sports when it comes around to
Like 19-year-old
Olympics.
American, Jesus.
but like they're doing these sports all the time. Like they're
Right.
having like world championships
Yeah.
and shit when there's not Olympics.
She performed a quadruple axel, quad lutz, quad loop, quad salcho, another quad lutz. A quad
You don't even know if
toe
those are
loop.
real words.
Yeah, they could be making these up. I don't know because I don't know what these
No,
these
but
are.
no, like, take it from quads, just triples, gentlemen. Let's try to do that right now. We would all be dead.
Oh yeah.
Oh Lord, the demon came out of me
I
on that
couldn't
one.
jump up
Yeah,
and
we'd be
spin
dead,
around 3 times.
I'd be dead.
I can't even do it twice.
Yeah.
Just rising from the
I
ground
feel like
would
I
murder
could do
me.
it twice, but 3 times I would probably break my ankle
I
coming
would
down.
pull all of the things.
Yeah. One thing, like when it comes to like Olympic video games, there's really only like they're gonna be basically a whole bunch of mini games of these things.
Right.
Just real quick, I want to like contrast. Like the first one that came out was Hyper Olympic '84.
Mm-hmm.
They went past. They immediately went past super, went straight to hyper. Like
Yeah.
fucking go.
Which was in the arcade, and it had 7 events: swimming, skeet shooting, long horse, archery. I don't know what the fuck long horse is. Archery, triple jump, weightlifting, and pole vault, which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Contrasting this with the latest one, which there was, these have. I don't think people really pay that much attention to these anymore because there
Right.
used to be one for every Olympics, and it kind of got, people paid attention to it. I think now they just don't, and it could be just that this happened in 2020. So
Is it possibly the horse long jump?
I don't know. I'm just going by what Wikipedia said. So the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020, the official video game, you could play as 80 nations. From what I could tell, you couldn't be a specific nation in the Hyper Olympic. It had 19 events for the PS4, Switch, Xbox One, Windows. It had track, which it had 100 meters, 110 hurdle, 4x100 relay, long jump and hammer throw for the field. In aquatics, it had 100-meter freestyle, 200-meter medley, which I know just means you can do. No, freestyle is the one that you can do whatever, but everybody just does the same stroke because that's the fastest one.
Right.
The most, like, to my mind, track and field game, and it was actually Konami's track and field, which I don't think had a specific Olympic theme to it, but I remember
Right.
that they had a digitized voice sing the national anthem. So,
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, hey, can you see? I'm like, oh, God.
But this one also had baseball, basketball, beach volleyball, table tennis, single and doubles, sport climbing, rugby sevens. I don't know what the difference between regular rugby and rugby sevens is.
7 players and 11 players, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
Thank you. Judo, football.
Kevin Gallo, if I'm wrong,
Which I
give us
think-
feedback.
By this, they mean soccer, cycling and BMX racing, tennis, singles and doubles, and boxing. And usually the reason why these games like come and go is because they just kind of do all of these games okay, and they don't do.
15 people aside on rugby. Excuse me, 15
Okay.
people. So
Okay.
I think rugby sevens though is 7 people. To
Right.
Okay. It's probably easier for the hardware to deal with that. But yeah, that's just a little contrast of like the first one that came out and the newest one that came out and the differences and what they've added and everything like that. A lot of that has to do with hardware. But then, like I said, most of these you're playing some kind of mini game and it's just like, or you're playing a worse. Like if you're going to play baseball or basketball, it's not going to be as good as if you play like a dedicated baseball or basketball game.
Right. I remember on the Nintendo, besides Track and Field, which decent game for that time period. Winter games, which was like you had like what, skiing, cross country, I think was a thing.
I think one of them was the skiing long jump, which that is
A pain.
That is, well, one, the timing on it I never could get fucking down.
Same.
But in real life, that is frightening as fuck.
Yeah.
Because I think at some points they jump higher than some like apartment building,
Right,
like
right.
above the ground, and then you have to land.
Right.
How?
Yeah,
How,
and they don't
like,
use ski poles. Like
yeah.
they don't.
They're
They just
just-
have a bar that they push off
Yeah,
of.
and then
Right.
just go down the scariest roller coaster you've ever
Yeah.
fucking experienced.
So, speaking of the skiing jump, there was a movie made in 2016 called Eddie the Eagle. Mm-hmm. It stars Hugh Jackman and Taron Egerton.
Of course.
Yeah, I did. I remember. I vaguely remember that one because that's based on. So when it comes to like movies, most movies are like really like 99% of movies that are based on like just real stories from the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get your cool weddings. That's where you get your Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah, or their documentaries. I didn't really write down any like documentaries
Well,
about this stuff.
Chariots of Fire, was that an Olympic
Chariots
movie?
of Fire was
Based off of
connected to the Olympics.
Yeah, based on
Um,
a real thing.
the only one that I really found that's not like that's about the Olympics but doesn't but isn't like a true story was Blades of Glory. Oddly enough, that was the Will Ferrell movie.
Oh, yeah.
They were actually usually they don't compete in the Olympics. They usually
Right.
call it something else. But
Right.
this one they were actually competing in the Olympics.
I enjoyed Blades of Glory.
Now, not necessarily Olympics per se, but adjacent because there's a gymnast in it. Jim Cotta.
Oh God! Yeah, if you want to draw the tenuous, the
I'm
most
looking
tenuous
down
of
right
thread.
now at my phone, and I'm not looking back up until Jody apologizes to all of us.
Nope.
For mentioning Jim Cotta.
One that I do want to mention that I think is possibly this actor's her best performance, and that's I, Tonya, where Margot Robbie plays Tanya Harding.
Oh,
and
right.
it tells the story of Tanya Harding.
Right.
That's a really, really good movie, and that's like a top performance for Margot Robbie. That is legitimately one of her best performances.
Yeah, better than the other movie that's about Tanya Harding.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not familiar with this one.
That was a TV movie.
I think I might have
yeah,
actually
you might have seen that
I
one.
might have seen that one when I was younger because that was
There's-
like
Yeah.
you cannot like you weren't really around. You weren't born. You were born after this. Like you just don't understand like the Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan whole thing and how it just
Do you know
took
the story?
over.
I remember like. Okay, so hear me out. I'm in a YouTube rabbit hole. Okay.
Okay.
And I find myself watching like a Watch Mojo like history debrief of these two people. I don't remember what the beef was, but
Yeah.
There was a beef, all
I know
right.
that there's some type of tension.
It's basically these were two
it's
really-
It's not a beef. That's a whole fucking butcher shop.
yeah. It's basically
Jesus
you had
Christ.
these two women who were really at the top of their game for when it comes to
Figure skating.
figure skating, and
Didn't they try to like sabotage each other?
no,
Or-
like it's complicated, but Nancy Kerrigan ends up getting her ankle broken by someone connected to Tanya Harding, and Tanya Harding and her husband go to jail for it on top of the person who was connected to them, who
With a
actually
lead
did it.
pipe.
With a lead pipe.
With
Like,
a
he-
lead pipe, like
They fucked
everything,
her up.
everything about it screams wrestling storylines.
Yeah, it is pretty wrestling.
Except it was all real.
And her and her husband, many years afterwards, did a porn together.
His name
This
was
was one of the
His name
early
was Jeff Galooly.
Leaked sex tapes. Well, it didn't come. It came out later, but it was like a leaked thing. And then also Tanya Harding did celebrity boxing for a little while. It's super weird. I would say like watch I, Tanya if you're interested in learning more about that, because it's a really good, like I said, like the acting is really good, and it's an interesting story.
It's another reason why Margot Robbery, she was robbed by not being nominated for Barbie, is one of the most, in my opinion, underrated actresses going today. She is not just a pretty face. She actually brings emotion and if you were to tell me I would connect with someone playing Tanya Harding as far as like, oh, this person's really this person, and not hate Tanya Harding, I'd have said, no, it's like Margot Robbie knocks it out of the park. Absolutely knocks it out of the park in that movie.
Yeah. I want to say she might have got snubbed for a nomination for Oscar for that one too. But don't quote me on that. Yeah, most of them, like there's also like there's the inspirational story Olympics movie. That's where you get something like Miracle, which is about the Miracle on Ice, where USA beat was it Russia, right? We beat Russia in hockey.
Yes, that was the Miracle on Ice.
That sounds right.
That was 1980, the Miracle on Ice.
Yeah. Which that one stars Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I've never watched that one because just like inspirational sports movies like don't really do it for me all that much.
Yeah. Same.
One that I want to talk about that is a really, really good movie and that is connected to the Olympics, and that is Munich.
Oh,
yeah.
Actually, also real quick before we start talking about Munich, there was a movie made about that story in the mid 80s.
Okay.
Called The Sword of Gideon.
Okay.
It's the same story about what was it, 1972? Or
I can't remember
It was in
year.
the 70s.
Yeah.
It was in the 70s it happened, but go ahead. Munich is fucking amazing.
Yeah, Munich is connected to the Munich Olympics, where the Israeli Olympics team was taken hostage by a terrorist organization, and most, if not all of them, ended up getting killed along with most of the terrorists. And it's about the Israeli special forces like figuring out who was behind the people who were actually there, and going and just murdering the shit out of them. It stars Eric Bana. Like it's one of, I think, Steven Spielberg's underrated movies. You don't see him direct that type of movie very often. But yeah, I think it's a very underrated movie of his. And like the beginning, where they talk about where they're actually at the Olympics and they're doing the whole scene, all the scenes there that take place there are really chilling, because they like cut back and forth between because there was actual footage of like the you might have even seen Ethan, you might have even seen like pictures of like the terrorists, because they're in like masks that when they're like out on the balcony and stuff. But and there's like a couple of like really, really famous photos of them. But yeah, that one's one that's connected to the Olympics. It's not actually about the like performing in the Olympics, which is a rarity, really. I think that's one of the only ones that's not really, and I Tanya, like that's the two that's not really about like a performance in the Olympics. Yeah.
I know you were talking about sports that's like discontinued in the Olympics. I saw that pigeon shooting was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Pigeon shooting, distance plunging.
Yeah.
The tug of war.
Dueling used to be in the
Dueling,
Olympics.
Dude, tug of war.
They would shoot each other with wax bullets.
Now, this is actually pretty close as far as it being not the Olympics-like, and on media. So there used to be, back in the day of television, Ethan, and I'm not talking about TV as a joke. TV is a joke now. But back in the day, they used to have some wild shit on television. And one of these shows that they had was called Battle of the Network Stars.
Oh, yeah.
and they had like all these actors and actresses doing Olympic type games on TV, and I can't remember which network it was on.
It was on all three because it was ABC, NBC, and CBS
Right.
all sent like, and they didn't just send like oh, here's some backup people from.
No, they were main
they sent,
stars.
like mainline like
You
television
had like
stars.
Scott Baio at the
Yeah.
time, and people like that.
Who used to be a big deal.
The notion of bringing Scott Baio up as the first one is
Yeah.
just like
Well, I mean, at the
You
time,
got their heavy hitters like Scott Baio.
well, I mean, at the time,
Yeah,
Happy
at the
Days was still running.
Yeah.
And Joni Loves Chachi, and
Yeah.
that was it was before Charles in Charge. This was before the Charles Charge days, but they had Tug of
the
War.
demographic is skewing much older than this one right now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Battle
He's
of the
talking
Networks.
about Battle of the Network
Network
All
Star-
Stars.
That's from like 1980, motherfucker.
I understand. For some reason, that is more topical-ish to me because it's a competition show, and competition shows still exist.
This is something that
then Charles in fucking charge.
This is something that I only know by
Charles
osmosis.
in charge of our days and our nights. Charles in charge of our wrongs and our rights. What the fuck? Okay, I'm off of my Charles in charge.
I'm about to get on another soapbox here.
Okay.
Give me just a second. Hold on.
But yeah, that had
We were all very quiet there for a moment.
that had a lot of like Olympic stars would show up in like weird things like this that they would do. I think that there was a British show. It wasn't called Battle of the Network All Stars, but it was something very similar to this that had that they used that they would have like athletes and stuff on sometimes as well as.
In an article called "The Most 1970s Moment in the History of Television," Gabe Kaplan versus Robert Conrad at the first Battle of the Network Stars. So,
You want to talk about dated? Scott Baio is in this list. So's Dick Van Patten. If you
Jesus
know who the
Christ.
fuck that is.
no one does. Everyone who knew was
He could have
dead.
made up those other two names. I don't
Yes.
know them.
Tony Tennille from Captain and Tennille is on the 1979 version of it.
Love will keep us together.
Robert Urich.
He was Spencer for Hire.
He was Spencer for Hire. Billy Crystal.
He was in Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal, I know. He was.
Yeah,
He
he was a good comedian.
Todd Bridges.
was best known for hosting the Oscars.
He was the older man in Different Strokes. Not the older man, the older
Yeah.
brother.
Right.
Different Strokes rule the world. Weird.
Robert Conrad.
Yeah, I just mentioned his name.
Yeah.
Best known for being in the Mike Myers Austin Powers movie
Oh, okay.
as number two.
Okay, that's who
Yeah.
that was. Yeah.
That's not
okay.
Robert Conrad.
It's not?
That's not.
No, it's not.
Who is it?
That's the man who Robert Wagner.
Robert Wagner.
My bad.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
my Wagners
Wow,
and
we
Conrads on some sort of
This
tangent.
is like. Might be the least
make-
interesting tangent we've ever been on.
I may cut this part simply because we will get negative. Like we will actually the viewers we've picked up
I
so
will put
recently, we're
money
just
on
gonna
the
lose them all
fact
of
that
them.
nobody who is listening to this gives one flying fuck about anything that we have talked about in the
none of
last
it.
5 minutes.
And one of them was
Battle of the Network All Stars was talked about.
yeah.
Just interest just shot just to the floor, like just plummeted.
we're gonna get sued by Robert Wagner.
He might be dead. Who fucking knows?
Allegedly.
Google would know.
Oh my God.
I don't have to say allegedly. If he's dead, he's dead.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hit the button.
Where's the
Hit
button?
the fucking
Which
button.
one is it?
Which one? Just pick one. Let's see what happens. Just pick one.
Nope.
No,
That's the theme song.
Yeah,
God damn it.
Cut it.
He's 94 years old.
Jesus Christ. Well, he will soon be dead.
He was born in Detroit, which is also the home of the Insane Clown Posse.
Coincidence? I think not.
You find out. Because I'm not looking up any more shit on Google tonight.
Out of all the topics, I didn't think the Olympics would derail the show as much as it's been derailed so far.
Motherfucker, we are the crown princes of derailment.
Yeah, you're right.
It's us and then
we
Amtrak.
haven't met a rail that we can't D
Yeah,
yet.
it's us and then Amtrak in Ohio.
I think I found the button.
Okay, go
It
for it.
can't offend anybody. He's dead.
There you go.
I found it.
All right,
Fuck
There
him.
you go.
Fuck him.
All right, back.
But he's not dead. That's the problem.
Fuck him anyway. He was pretty good in Austin Powers, though. It was.
Oh
The
yeah,
Olympics.
that's
All's forgiven.
He was the first number 2, and then there was a younger person who played number
Rob
2.
Lowe.
Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe.
Rob
Yeah.
Lowe. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. It's been a very long time since I watched
AKA
those.
something that
movies.
like 4 people that listen to us have heard of.
Yeah.
back to Brady's notes. The name of this show.
I don't got much else.
There you go. Are we
Who
going to
wants
leave?
to talk about Izzy's quest for the Olympic rings?
Oh,
So the Atlanta mascot for the 1996 Olympics was Izzy What's It.
It's a fucking fever dream.
And it's literally like, let's take a Muppet, then let's blur our eyes, and then we'll put it through the copy machine 100 times, and that's the character.
right.
Let's take a sperm, turn him blue, put lightning bolts for eyebrows. We're good.
Canada's most recent Winter Olympics was Quachi, which was a Sasquatch, and he was adorable.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Can I get Snowball from Blades of Glory? I'll take Snowball.
I've never watched that movie. I don't know.
That movie had the dude who played Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, it also had him.
The first time I saw Izzy What's It was in 1992, because at the end of 1 year's Olympics, which was the Barcelona Olympics.
it's Barcelona.
Well, really, it's Hannibal Barkhead and his father Hasdrubal, but you know what? Whatever. Anyway, if we're gonna go like really and truly, why would you have it in Barcelona? Well, no, that was the Romans. Disregard
Yeah.
everything I'm saying. I'm an idiot. Anyway, that being said,
Only a few people would get that you fucked up on that joke.
Yeah.
Like everybody else was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what the
but
fuck
I
you're
feel
talking
like
know
about.
I
what's
want
happening.
those people's respect
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, so Barcelona, at the end of the Barcelona Olympic, at the end of every Olympics, they present you the next character for the next Olympics, and also the passing of the torch from
Yeah.
the previous city to the next city.
Right.
And it's like, oh, from Barcelona to Atlanta, okay, the Southeast United States, we're gonna have an Olympics. This is gonna be great. And then like Izzy comes on the screen, and it's like y'all just took a piece of Play-Doh and stretched it out and gave it googly eyes.
He's probably if we were to like line them all up, he's probably not even the worst like Olympic.
That's fair, but I feel he should have been in the Chippendale movie.
Yeah, he's one that
Like
I
it's
don't.
that level of animation
He's-
that was just creepy.
I only remember him because like the Atlanta Olympics was like the first one that I really paid attention to because
Right.
it was like I could literally there was a possibility that I could go to that. Like I had friends who
Right.
in
It was
school
in your vicinity.
who went to that one.
Right.
I love the term vicinity. I love it.
Speaking of that
I
one, there
realized
was,
it as soon
I
as
just
I
want to
spoke
mention it real quick. There was a movie that Clint Eastwood directed about like the bombing and the guy who people blamed for it, but then was wronged about.
Oh, Richard Jewell, yeah.
But I've heard,
Richard
Richard
Jewell
Jewell
is
is
the-
the
yeah.
name of the movie. There's some wonky things about that movie that feels kind of weird, but I just want to mention it just in case we've got one Eastwood head listening. I don't want to get a strongly worded telegram because if you're really into Clint Eastwood, you're probably old as fuck.
I'm gonna hit a random button. Whatever this is.
Don't ever say that in my presence.
Okay, that worked. That
That
really
didn't
worked.
start off as a joke, but I turned it into a joke,
Yeah,
and
there
it
we
tickled
go.
me, and that's all that
That's
matters.
That's all that matters,
all
man.
ATM, all that matters.
I remember also during the '84 Olympics, there was a lot of like they would make weird shit, right? That they put like the reason for the mascots is to sell more than just T-shirts. They want to sell plushies. They want to sell like all kinds of other stuff.
Merchandising.
They would sell the most random shit. Like I had a '84 Olympics frisbee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They didn't have frisbee in the Olympics.
Yeah.
They had maybe discus throwing, but you know,
No, they had discus throwing.
yeah,
pretty sure
they,
discus
they didn't
throwing.
have
That's part of the Greek classic series.
plastic frisbee throwing. Meanwhile, this year they started the ceremony in Greece with a priestess of Dionysus, like praying to a pagan god. She was an actress,
That's
of course. To start the run that would take 2.5 months
Yeah.
to light the torch. Wild.
Yeah, Dionysus, that's a weird one to choose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not very accurate if she's not like butt ass naked too.
Well, no, they weren't.
Also with a glass of wine with her.
Yeah. But
Dionysius.
yeah. I saw Halle Berry like carried the torch for a little while.
Interesting.
I also saw that
I'm okay with that because she was always fit.
they cleared out like all of the merchants that are on the
Like if
Sin
Jelly
in-
Roll carried the torch, I'd have a problem with that.
He wouldn't carry it very far.
No, I like Jelly Roll.
I like Jelly Roll too, but he is fat.
Yeah, but like, just make the one and you cranked up the volume too far.
Like what if
I'm sorry, Jelly Roll.
what if they gave him?
Why are we talking about Jelly Roll for the Olympics? What the
Why
fuck?
did you brought it up?
I know.
You brought it
I
up.
know. I don't know why.
What if they give him like towards
God,
the end and
I
he has to
need a
climb?
savior.
What if they gave him like the last leg and he has to climb the stairs and he's like, I can't do this. Just cut all that. Just fuck it.
Cut the whole episode.
No,
Fuck it.
the
You
original,
really are just
the last
bullshitting
one
now.
still isn't up yet because my computer died. I need to get a new computer. I don't. God, I need a savior.
Jesus Christ.
What if he used a mobility scooter?
Well, he couldn't get up the stairs then. That's the problem.
I'm sorry, Jelly Roll. I really am.
That should be the name of the episode. I'm sorry, Jelly Roll.
I'm sorry, Joe. We are sorry, Jelly Roll.
When's competitive eating going to be part of the Olympics? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I saw the one dude, Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut.
He got kicked out because he was
He's signed to like
he signed to
Impossible
like a
Meat.
to like a vegan brand.
Yeah, and
they were
so
like,
and
"Fuck you."
Nathan's Hot Dogs is like, you can't eat anymore.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a real thing.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Me.
But I've got nothing else. I don't know if anybody else has anything. I pretty much said everything.
I'll watch this. This is a tangent for a second.
Another
why
one.
not?
This is a tangent.
Why,
No,
why
we
not?
can't have those here.
We have stayed
Tangent
perfectly.
in this podcast.
We have stayed perfectly on fucking target this entire time. And you're gonna throw it off
This entire time.
the entire time.
So competitive eating, right? So I was watching this guy. He was at a mochi nut, which is like
My laugh almost caused a spit take for Brady. He did not spit take. I will defend him.
Mochi nut almost cost. The last thing that I expected when I took a drink was the word mochi nut.
Yep.
which is a Korean donut shop.
I just can't even I feel like I can't take a sip of drink while this story is going on. Continue.
He ate like 16 or 20 Korean hot dogs. These things are like 2 pounds each, and he completes the whole entire thing. He's like, "Whew, I finished eating all these in like 15 minutes. Like that's my personal record. The manager and owner of the whole franchise walked up to him and goes, "Hey, why don't you try eating 24 of my donuts? Mochi donuts are made out of rice flour.
Oh, wow.
And they are more dense than regular donuts
Damn.
and bigger." And he's like, "No, man. Like I retired from eating desserts for competition, reasons. I can't do desserts anymore." He's like, "If you eat 24 donuts in 30 minutes, I'll give you $500."
Jesus Christ.
After he ate all those corn dogs,
Oh man.
and he fucking did it.
Jeez.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, and he fucking died.
He almost shit his pants multiple times.
Almost. No, he shit his pants. He just didn't admit it.
Man.
And he had an assortment of donuts. He had like 5 of them were like Oreo donuts. They had like all kinds of shit all
Jesus
over them.
Christ.
I'm like, this motherfucker's
no.
gonna die.
Watching eating competitions is like watching a train wreck. Like you really don't want to watch it. You're disgusted and you're horrified, but you really cannot stop.
It's so fucking compelling.
It
Yeah.
draws you
Like,
in.
I can do that. I might not be able to run a 9.4 down 100 yard, but I can fucking eat a whole bunch of hot dogs.
I can tell you, I can't
Can't eat that many.
I can't eat 52 in 20 minutes like Kobayashi did back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Fucking Joey Chestnut got that number to like 76 or some shit.
Yeah, that dude's record has been broken like several times.
It has, but the first time it
Joey
had,
Chestnut breaks his own records.
but Kobayashi doubled the record when he broke it.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
doubled the record.
All right, we're talking about fucking eating competitions now. I think we have
Outstretched
I
our.
Are you
we-
saying that we have completely stripped the Olympics of all
I'm
its
saying
dignity?
it's super fucking late.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and we're just talking about eating competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I got nothing else. Like the Olympics are an interesting time. Because again, this is when we like really start caring about certain sports that we really don't give a shit about as a nation.
puts the torches and pitchforks down, and they always just start yelling USA, USA.
Yeah. It's nothing like nationalism to bring the country together.
That's why it was called American Gladiators.
Tell me what I'm telling lies. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm cutting anything. I don't know. We'll find out.
Sure.
Well, I'll find
Jesus
out in
Christ.
the edit.
Mea culpa. Sorry. When it comes to like movies and stuff, like there's some good movies. You know, mostly you get like the inspirational stories.
Right. Made
like
for TV, a lot of those.
like like your Chariots of Fire and your Miracles. You also get some, I think, very interesting movies like I, Tonya and Munich. When you kind of use the Olympics as kind of a backdrop and not necessarily
the main focus.
or
The
like
focus
some
point.
like in I, Tonya, the Olympics is kind of looming over things like that. But and then when it comes to like video games, it's like most of them are like just not good games that disappear like as soon as the Olympics are over.
Pretty much.
They're mostly cash grabs, unfortunately. You get some good stuff. I think some of the Mario versus Sonics have been actually good quality. I've never played them just because those types of games just aren't interesting to me. But I'm not a big sports game person anyway. So.
Right.
I think also, like, I guess this might be a good thing to kind of finish up on the moments from the Olympics that transcend both the Olympics and sport and become moments in time. The Nadia Comaneci first perfect tens at the Olympics. The Dream Team, ascending to the gold medal platform in 1992. Carrie Strug in 1996, which again she should not have been made to on what was found to be a broken ankle, made to do that vault, but she did that vault and landed it, and that became like a moment of self-sacrifice. Again, one that she shouldn't have had to make, but in that moment, like what the power of that speaks there. Michael Phelps's 8 gold medals in the Chinese Olympics. These moments in time that. Either in just a single moment,
Roland
Gardner beating Alexander. God, I can't remember his name, but like
the guy's name.
Like honestly, pound for pound, the greatest Greco-Roman wrestler that was ever born. He was at the heavyweight level, absolutely. There again, some of these are these build-ups to moments in time, like. Phelps didn't win 8 gold medals all at once. It was a series of events over and over again. Some of them in the team events where he needed other people to perform along with him in the spirit of teamwork. It's those moments that to me that transcend the Olympics, transcend sports, maybe even transcend media as these moments in time that we kind of and that's what the Olympics can create. An event like that only happens every 4 years. It's not like something that comes back every season, every year, and you have something like that. It's something that you have to wait for. That's what makes those moments, I think, kind of crystal in time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fun fact, Paris Olympics are supposedly having anti-sex beds put into all the dormitories. Like that's going to stop them.
Yeah, good luck. Some of the most beautiful and like primed and ready to go athletes in the world are going to be in the same together. Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Here's one. Don't have sex on a bed. You have other areas you could go to.
Yeah. I believe
For
in them.
more sex tips, check out Travelers on the Omnibus.
The floors never stopped me before.
The floor stopped me one time, but that's a whole other thing. Kincannon Hall was destroyed, and that's all I'm going to say about that. There you go. There you go. Gentlemen, the bus is pulling into the station finally.
Yeah.
It's limping in.
We will be speaking with our lawyers after the show, but before that, let's speak to our friends who are in the podcast spaces that we share as well. Brady, hit us with one of our friends that you should be listening to. Now that you've survived this.
Whiskey and Wrestling is a podcast that is put on by our friends Jason Holder and Michael Hill. They talk about the current events of wrestling. There's some interesting stuff that has happened recently that I think that they can talk about. One, Joe Hendry was in NXT, and then
Chad Gable got murdered.
Do you believe in
a lot of people.
Chad Gable lost his family and then got murdered.
A lot of people got murdered, but Chad Gable's still going to be there to work out in the morning.
Yeah, work out in the morning. Yeah, that'd be fun.
So yeah, if you want to hear their insights to the goings on in wrestling and hear about them talk about an alcoholic beverage that they have paired with that episode, check them out wherever podcasts are done. Yeah, That's it. That's the promo.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jody, the echo has been enabled.
Kevin Shelton and Jared Hubbard.
No, it hasn't.
Why is it on yours?
I don't know. I have no idea how that thing works.
Apparently, I don't either.
Silence your cell phones. It's a podcast. Listen to it.
The echo is enabled, Ethan.
So Jody is a friend. Jody also has a podcast. It is called Fearology. He watches horror movies and tells you about it. Fearology.
That was like the friendliest, creepy echo ever. God damn it.
Well, like you said, Jody is friend.
Bearded Drums, Stephen Nelson II, and Jarrett Taylor will tell you all things about drums from gear to gigs, along with live performances recorded and presented on the show by Mr. Stephen Nelson II himself. Find him on YouTube and all major podcasting avenues. Ethan, you have to do the completed one.
Okay. The Completed Podcast, a Magic the Gathering centered podcast hosted by Christopher Vega, Brendan Scott Tanner, and Brandon Smith. They have deep, concentrated interviews with professional Magic the Gathering players, with Brendan Scott Tanner being a former Pro Tour player. They go about the ins and outs of competitive Magic with all the different formats. Check them out. Good guys, The Completed Podcast.
Jody, would you do the promo for McNarbs real quick?
Nestled in lovely Goshen, Mississippi, in the heart of Goshen, Mississippi, lies McNarb Gaming.
In the heart of a random shopping center.
In the heart of a almost dead shopping center. Minus
Goshen,
the one random thrift store.
Say almost dead shopping center again.
In an almost dead shopping center. Minus the thrift store.
And the place.
And the one place that never has anybody in there, but somehow
God damn it!
manages to stay in business. So many
Allegedly.
McNarb Gaming. You can find Magic the Gathering, puzzles, board games, sleeves, dice, but not Warhammer. McNarb Gaming.
You want that? You go to Daphne.
You go to Daphne, Alabama.
No, because the owner has a fatwa against Games Workshop.
You go to Pensacola for Level Up Gaming.
We had it all.
Good luck cutting around that one.
we had it all this episode. We had mentions of fatwa. We had murder allegations. We had the Olympics at some point.
There was some Olympics mentioned.
Christ almighty. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our regular programming because next month is Ghibli July.
Thank God.
We're going to be watching some of the finest, movies from the Studio
Definitely
Ghibli
on one of
catalog.
them. That's a question
There's
mark.
at least 3, possibly 2, but most likely 3 good ones. One good one. That is less good than the 3, and then there's going to be Tales from Earthsea. I'm just going to fucking come out and say it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to come out and say it. But that's the next. That's not the next one. The next one, ladies and gentlemen, will be our review and recap of the arguably first Ghibli movie, and those created before Ghibli was a thing, and that is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. We've mentioned it so many times on the show. It's finally time we actually sit down, watch it, and give you our opinions of it.
This will be my second time watching it.
Absolutely. So, and this will be my third time. The first time I watched it was when it was Warriors of the Wind. Yeah. So
Saw it on HBO.
Yeah, unique insights across many generations of movie viewers. So once more, around the table with feeling. My name is James McCarthy.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm Jody Kite.
You stared him into being the next one.
I'm Brady Davis. Ethan wasn't sure which way we were going this time.
I wasn't either until
We're travelers on the omnibus. Thank you for stopping
It
by. and
didn't
enjoying
matter
the
which
ride.
way they went. You were saying it
I'm
the
always
same.
in the middle. Yeah, you're
you're
right.
always in the middle
Yeah,
of it.
like we're kind of the spoke of the wheel. Like it's
Right,
like the one that's always there and just kind of
Yeah.
moves. It's like,
Yeah, people listening don't know we're always in the same seats.
Yeah. We used to not be that, and then we
Yeah.
started being that.
Yeah.
Right.
We
right.
started.
It just made things easier.
It's like how you don't have assigned seats in college, but then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks in, you have assigned seats because everybody sits in the exact same spot.
Yeah, because it's just comfortable.
familiar.
You yell
Yeah.
at the new kid that's in your seat, yelling, "That's my seat!"
Yeah. Well, I didn't yell at them, but I got very upset and then didn't say anything and then felt mad the entire, period.